Welcome to my channel. Try to hear the latest story.
I sat alone in the empty bleachers at my 7-year-old daughter Emma's first competitive soccer tournament in Phoenix, watching her scan the stands between plays. 27 family members had promised to attend this milestone moment. 0 showed up. I had spent $3,000 organizing everything: tournament fees, hotel rooms, for extended family custom team jerseys, and a celebratory dinner reservation. My phone remained silent with no calls, no texts, no explanations. Emma kept looking toward the empty seats, asking where Grandpa was, where Uncle Marcus was, where everyone was. I forced smiles while my heart shattered, watching her hope fade with each disappointed glance. The drive back to suburban Denver felt endless. Emma pressed her face against the passenger window, clutching her second-place trophy, still asking questions I couldn't answer. Why didn't Grandma come to see me play? Did I do something wrong? Uncle Marcus said he loved soccer. Each innocent question twisted the knife deeper into my chest. Our modest ranch house felt different when we walked through the front door that Sunday evening. The silence seemed heavier, more permanent somehow. I had prepared for a celebration. The refrigerator was stocked with Emma's favorite snacks for visiting relatives. Extra folding chairs sat unused in the garage. Gift bags filled with tournament souvenirs remained untouched on the kitchen counter. Emma's bedtime routine provided temporary distraction from my churning thoughts. We read 3 chapters of her favorite book about a brave princess who saved her kingdom. She brushed her teeth twice, stalling for time like she always did when something bothered her. As I tucked her under her soccer-themed comforter, she looked up with those enormous brown eyes that melted my heart every single day. "Daddy, will they come to my birthday party next month?" I kissed her forehead, promising everything would work out perfectly. The lie tasted bitter on my tongue, but protecting her innocence felt more important than brutal honesty. She drifted off to sleep while I sat in the hallway processing the magnitude of what had just happened. The week that followed blurred into a familiar routine. I dropped Emma at Lincoln Elementary each morning before heading to my marketing firm downtown. She attended soccer practice Tuesday and Thursday evenings, chattering excitedly about new plays and teammates. Her enthusiasm remained infectious despite the tournament disappointment. Children possess remarkable resilience that adults often envy. I found myself checking my phone obsessively, hoping for some explanation or apology. Surely someone would acknowledge their absence. Perhaps an emergency had prevented attendance. Maybe they forgot the dates or confused the location. My rational mind knew better, but hope dies hard when family is involved. The text arrived Friday evening while I was reading Emma her bedtime story. My phone buzzed against the nightstand, interrupting our journey through a magical forest where talking animals solved mysteries together. Emma's eyes were growing heavy when I glanced at the screen. Family ski trip to Aspen December 15th through 22nd. $2,600 per head covers lodge, equipment, and meals. Transfer today for early booking discount. The message came from Dad's number. No greeting. No mention of the tournament. No apology for their collective absence. No acknowledgement that Emma had needed them, had looked for them, had been crushed by their no-show. They treated me like a personal ATM machine dispensing cash on demand, without question or gratitude. I stared at that text until the words blurred together. Emma stirred beside me, mumbling something about soccer balls and ice cream. The innocence in her sleepy voice contrasted sharply with the calculating coldness of my father's financial demand. My memory flooded with similar requests over the past 2 years. Marcus needed $8,000 for his wedding venue deposit. Diana required $5,000 for a car down payment after her credit got declined. My parents requested $4,500 for their anniversary cruise to celebrate 30 years of marriage. Each time I transferred the money, immediately grateful to help family during important moments. Not one thank you card arrived afterward. No Christmas gifts appeared under our tree from grateful relatives. When my divorce proceedings dragged on for 8 months, requiring court appearances and emotional support, my family remained conspicuously absent, too busy with their own lives to spare time for my crisis. The pattern suddenly became crystal clear. They only contacted me when they needed money. I was useful for funding their dreams, while they ignored mine. Emma's first tournament should have been a celebration for our entire family. Instead, it became a painful reminder of where I truly stood in their priorities. My hands trembled as I typed my response. 3 characters that would change everything. $1. I hit send before courage could abandon me. The reply came within seconds. Very funny. Wire transfer details attached. Need confirmation by midnight. They assumed I was joking. The possibility that I might be serious never crossed their minds. In their world, my money belonged to them, by default. My feelings, needs, and boundaries were irrelevant obstacles to overcome. Emma shifted in her sleep, unconsciously reaching for my hand. Her tiny fingers wrapped around mine, trusting and warm. This beautiful child deserved better than relatives who treated her father like a bank account. She deserved family members who showed up, who cheered her victories, who celebrated her milestones. I turned off my phone without responding to Dad's follow-up messages. The decision felt simultaneously liberating and terrifying. 32 years of conditioning told me to comply, to keep peace, to maintain family harmony at any cost. But watching Emma's face fall in those empty bleachers had awakened something primal and protective within me. The math was staggering when I calculated my total family contributions. Over $50,000 in 2 years, enough for Emma's college fund or a down payment on a better house in a superior school district. Instead, that money had vanished into family members' personal wants and desires, leaving nothing but resentment and expectations for more. Emma deserved relatives who invested in her happiness rather than extracting from her father's resources. She needed role models who demonstrated love through presence and support, not financial manipulation and emotional neglect. The bedroom felt peaceful as I watched my daughter sleep. Her soccer ball sat on the dresser, signed by teammates who had become friends. Her trophy gleamed in the moonlight, earned through dedication and natural talent. Emma was building something beautiful and authentic, surrounded by people who genuinely cared about her success. My family had made their choice in those empty bleachers. Now I would make mine. Saturday morning brought clarity with the sunrise. Emma bounded into the kitchen wearing her favorite purple pajamas, chattering about weekend plans, while I prepared her chocolate chip pancakes. Her energy felt contagious as she described the sleepover invitation from her teammate Sarah, complete with movie marathons and popcorn contests. After dropping Emma at Sarah's house, I returned home to begin my digital purge. The laptop sat open on the dining room table, cursor blinking in the password field like a starting line. Every account that connected me to my family's convenience needed immediate revision. The banking website was first. I changed my login credentials to Tournament Ghost 2023, a reminder of their absence during Emma's important moment. The new password felt empowering, like reclaiming stolen territory, one character at a time. Next came the streaming services. My Netflix account showed 5 simultaneous users, despite only Emma and me living in this house. The viewing history revealed my family's entertainment preferences. Dad had been watching golf documentaries and war movies. Marcus preferred action comedies and superhero series. Diana binged romantic dramas and reality television shows. They were living comfortably on my subscriptions while ignoring my daughter's soccer tournament. The irony tasted bitter as I clicked through each profile, deleting their access one by one. Amazon Prime proved even more revealing. My account history showed purchases I had never made. Dad bought a set of premium golf clubs for $800 last month. Marcus ordered a PlayStation gaming console for $600 in September. Diana charged spa treatments totaling $400 to my credit card just 3 weeks ago. None of them had asked permission. They simply used my stored payment information like an unlimited family credit line. The violation felt personal and calculated, as if my financial resources existed solely for their convenience. Spotify came next, then Hulu, HBO Max, and YouTube Premium. Each service showed multiple family members enjoying benefits they had never paid for, never requested permission to use, never expressed gratitude for accessing. My phone started buzzing around noon, Marcus calling. I let it go to voicemail, focusing instead on changing my email password to "Where was everyone?" The symbolism felt appropriate. His message was predictably self-centered. "What happened to the Amazon account? I was ordering Christmas gifts for my kids. Fix this immediately. This isn't funny anymore." Christmas gifts for his children purchased with my money after he skipped Emma's tournament without explanation. The audacity was breathtaking. Diana's text arrived 20 minutes later. "Netflix isn't working. Emma wants to watch her cartoons." She didn't even know which shows Emma actually enjoyed, having never spent time learning her niece's preferences. I responded to each complaint with photographs from the tournament, empty bleachers where they should have been cheering. Emma's disappointed face scanning the crowd for familiar relatives. The scoreboard showing her team's final score, witnessed only by strangers who appreciated their effort. The pictures spoke louder than any argument, visual evidence of their priorities and choices. Emma's milestone moment reduced to an inconvenience they couldn't be bothered to attend. Dad's phone call came at 2 in the afternoon. I watched his name flash on the screen, then sent it straight to voicemail. His message revealed his true nature without filter or pretense. "Stop this childish tantrum immediately. Family supports family, and that means financial support when needed. Wire the ski money by tonight, or we're talking to lawyers about your attitude problem. This behavior is unacceptable." Lawyers. He was threatening legal action because I refused to fund his vacation after he abandoned my daughter. The message played twice before I saved it as evidence. His words would prove useful later if threats escalated further. The password changes continued throughout the afternoon. Each new credential became more pointed. "Emma deserved better" for my investment account. "Family ghosts" for my insurance portal. "Tournament silence" for my credit card website. Bank records revealed additional unauthorized activity spanning months. My mother had been providing my personal information to telemarketers, resulting in dozens of spam calls weekly. My credit score showed inquiries I had never made, suggesting someone was checking my financial status without permission. The documentation process began in earnest. Screenshots of every unauthorized purchase, every account violation, every privacy breach. Email trails showing family members sharing my subscription passwords without consent. Text messages demanding money without gratitude or reciprocity. Evening brought Emma home from her sleepover, glowing with happiness, and carrying a friendship bracelet made during craft time. She described the movies they watched, the games they played, the secrets they shared. Sarah's family had made her feel welcome and valued, treating her like their own daughter for 12 hours. Sarah's mom said I could come back anytime. She wants to teach me how to braid friendship bracelets for my whole team. Isn't that awesome, Daddy? I hugged her tightly, grateful that genuine kindness still existed in her world. Sarah's family barely knew Emma, yet they opened their home and hearts without hesitation. Meanwhile, my blood relatives couldn't spare one afternoon to support her tournament dreams. The final password change came after Emma went to bed. My retirement account, the most important financial asset for our future security. The new credentials read "New Beginnings 2023," representing the fresh start we both deserved. My phone showed 17 missed calls and 43 unread text messages from various family members. Their panic was palpable as access to my resources disappeared. The entitled outrage in their messages revealed their true relationship with me. I was not their son, brother, or father figure. I was their financial safety net, expected to provide without question or limit. My feelings were irrelevant. Emma's needs were secondary to their wants. The block function on my phone felt therapeutic. Dad's number gone. Marcus and Diana deleted. Extended family members who participated in the ski trip planning removed. One by one, their ability to reach me disappeared like their presence at the tournament. Silence filled the house as the digital warfare concluded. No buzzing phone, no demanding messages, no financial obligations to relatives who gave nothing in return. For the first time in years, my resources belonged exclusively to Emma and me. The peace felt foreign but welcome. Tomorrow would bring new challenges as my family realized the permanent nature of these changes. Tonight, however, belonged to planning a future where Emma's needs came first, where her achievements were celebrated by people who actually showed up. The tournament photographs sat on my desk, evidence of their absence and her resilience. Emma had played beautifully, despite the empty bleachers demonstrating strength and character that surpassed her 7 years. She deserved relatives who matched her grace and determination. My family had taught me a valuable lesson through their cruelty. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is remove toxic people from your life, creating space for relationships built on mutual respect and genuine care. Emma's future would be different, better. Surrounded by people who understood that love requires presence, not just financial transactions. 2 nights later, blue lights flashed through my bedroom window at 11 p.m., painting the walls in alternating patterns of illumination and shadow. Emma was sleeping peacefully in her room down the hallway, exhausted from soccer practice and homework completion. The sight of emergency vehicles outside our quiet suburban neighborhood sent immediate panic through my chest. My first thought was family emergency. Despite our recent conflicts, the possibility that something terrible had happened to my parents or siblings created instant dread. I threw on clothes and rushed to the front door expecting the worst possible news. Officers Rodriguez and Thompson stood on my porch, their expressions serious but not grief-stricken. Behind them, 2 patrol cars sat in my driveway with engines running, radio chatter crackling through the darkness. Several neighbors had emerged from their houses curious about the late-night commotion. "Mr. Donnie Walsh," Officer Rodriguez asked, consulting his notepad under the porch light. "Yes, that's me. Is everyone all right? Did something happen to my family?" We received a welfare check request regarding your daughter, Emma. The caller expressed concern about her safety and your mental state. We need to verify that everything is okay here." My stomach dropped as the implications became clear. Someone had called police to report me as dangerous or unstable. The timing, coming just days after I blocked my family's access to my accounts, couldn't be coincidental. Who made this report? I asked, though I already suspected the answer. Officer Thompson checked his paperwork. "Your father, Robert Walsh. He claimed you've had a mental breakdown or holding your daughter against her will, and might be dangerous to yourself and others. We're required to investigate these allegations." The calculated nature of my father's false report hit like a physical blow. Not content with financial manipulation, he was now weaponizing law enforcement to regain control. The accusation that I might harm Emma felt particularly cruel, attacking the most sacred bond in my life. "Officers, my daughter is asleep in her bedroom. You're welcome to check the house and speak with her if necessary. I have nothing to hide." They followed me inside, noting the clean, well-organized home environment. Emma's artwork covered the refrigerator, soccer trophies lined the living room shelves, and family photographs showed happy moments between father and daughter. Nothing suggested neglect, abuse, or instability. Officer Rodriguez paused at the tournament photos on my desk. "These are recent from last weekend, Emma's first competitive soccer tournament in Phoenix. I organized everything for our extended family to attend. Nobody showed up." I explained the entire situation: financial abuse, unauthorized account access, the ski trip demand, and my recent boundary setting. Both officers listened intently, taking notes as the pattern of manipulation became clear. "Mr. Walsh, would you mind showing us your financial records?" And the text messages you mentioned? I retrieved my laptop and phone, displaying the evidence I had been documenting. Bank statements showing unauthorized purchases, family text messages demanding money, and the recent ski trip ultimatum. The officers exchanged meaningful glances as they reviewed the materials. Officer Thompson, who mentioned having teenage daughters himself, shook his head with disgust. This is classic financial elder abuse, except reversed. Your family is treating you like a personal bank account. A soft voice from the stairway interrupted our conversation. Daddy, why are there police here? Am I in trouble? Emma stood on the bottom step in her pink pajamas, rubbing sleepy eyes and clutching her stuffed soccer ball. The sight of my frightened daughter surrounded by uniformed officers created a surge of protective rage, unlike anything I had ever experienced. No, sweetheart, you're not in trouble. These nice officers just wanted to make sure we were okay. Everything is fine. Officer Rodriguez knelt to Emma's level, speaking gently. Hi there, Emma. We heard you play soccer. Are you happy living here with your dad? Oh yes, Daddy is the best. He comes to all my games and practices. He makes my favorite pancakes and helps with homework. We're best friends. Her genuine enthusiasm and obvious comfort level provided clear evidence of our healthy relationship. After a brief conversation, Emma returned to bed with my assurance that the police were leaving soon. The officers completed their welfare check, finding absolutely no evidence supporting my father's allegations. Mr. Walsh, this appears to be a retaliatory false report, Officer Rodriguez concluded. Your father specifically mentioned that you might seek custody if needed. Has he threatened to take your daughter? Not directly, but the implications were clear in his messages. He's angry that I stopped providing money on demand. Officer Thompson handed me their business cards. We recommend documenting everything and consulting with a family law attorney. This type of manipulation often escalates when financial control is threatened. Your father may attempt additional legal harassment. They warned me about potential grandparents' rights lawsuits, which could force visitation or custody arrangements even when parents object. In Colorado, grandparents could petition for access if they could prove their relationship was in the child's best interest. The good news is that false police reports are illegal, Officer Rodriguez added. We'll be filing our own report about this incident. If your father continues making unfounded accusations, he could face charges for misusing emergency services. After the officers departed, I spent the remainder of the night researching family law and protective orders. The rabbit hole of legal information revealed disturbing possibilities. Grandparents who felt entitled to access could manipulate the court system, especially if they portrayed parents as unstable or unfit. My father's police report was clearly a trial run for more serious legal action. He was testing whether authorities would take his word against mine, probing for weaknesses in my defenses. The fact that he characterized financial boundary setting as mental instability suggested a sophisticated understanding of how to weaponize the system. Emma woke early the next morning asking if the police visit meant she had missed a goal during yesterday's practice. Her innocence in the face of adult manipulation broke my heart. She had no understanding of the battle being waged around her, viewing the world through eyes unclouded by family dysfunction. No, baby girl, you didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes adults have disagreements that don't involve kids at all. As I prepared her breakfast and school lunch, my protective instincts crystallized into cold determination. My family had crossed an unforgivable line by involving law enforcement in their manipulation campaign. They were willing to traumatize Emma and damage my reputation to regain financial control. The gloves were coming off. If they wanted a legal battle, I would give them one they would never forget. But this time I wouldn't be fighting defensively. I had evidence, documentation, and righteous anger on my side. Emma deserved protection from people who would use police reports as weapons in their financial wars. She needed a father strong enough to shield her from toxic relatives who viewed her as collateral damage in their quest for money. The tournament photos still sat on my desk, but now they represented something different. Not just evidence of my family's absence, but proof of Emma's resilience and my commitment to her happiness. She had played beautifully despite empty bleachers, demonstrating strength that would serve her well in the battles ahead. My phone remained silent, blocked numbers, unable to reach me with threats or demands. The peace felt temporary but precious, like the calm before an inevitable storm. Tomorrow I would call an attorney and begin preparing for war. Tonight I focused on Emma's bedtime story and the simple joy of being her father. Whatever challenges lay ahead, we would face them together, protected by boundaries and strengthened by genuine love. Monday morning found me sitting across from attorney Sarah Walsh in her downtown law office, surrounded by floor-to-ceiling bookshelves filled with legal precedents and family law statutes. The nameplate on her desk indicated 20 years of experience in custody disputes and domestic relations, exactly the expertise I needed for the battle ahead. Sarah reviewed my evidence with the thoroughness of a surgeon examining X-rays. Bank statements, text message screenshots, police report copies, and tournament photographs spread across her mahogany desk like pieces of a complex puzzle. Her expression grew increasingly serious as the pattern of abuse became clear. Mr. Walsh, I've handled hundreds of family law cases, but this level of financial manipulation combined with custody weaponization is particularly sophisticated. Your family isn't acting impulsively. This appears premeditated. She explained similar cases involving financial elder abuse, though typically the victims were elderly parents being exploited by adult children. My situation represented a disturbing reversal where parents and siblings treated their successful relative as a renewable financial resource. The police report was a test run. Sarah continued making notes on her legal pad. They wanted to see if authorities would take their word over yours, establishing a paper trail for future custody challenges. My stomach clenched as she described the legal vulnerabilities I faced as a single father. Colorado's grandparents' rights statutes could potentially force visitation if my parents could prove their relationship with Emma served her best interests. The false mental health allegations were laying groundwork for those claims. Sarah's phone rang, interrupting our strategy session. She glanced at the caller ID and frowned. "Excuse me, Mr. Walsh. This call might be relevant to your case." I watched her expression shift from confusion to alarm as the conversation progressed. She took detailed notes, asking pointed questions about timing and specific allegations. When the call ended, she turned to me with grave concern. "That was my colleague at Morrison & Associates, a competing family law firm downtown. They wanted to discuss a potential case involving a man named Donnie Walsh, whose elderly parents are concerned about his mental fitness and parenting abilities." The room felt suddenly cold as implications crashed over me. "My parents hired lawyers. Apparently, they've been shopping for representation, claiming you've become unstable and might be endangering Emma. They're seeking advice about emergency custody procedures and conservatorship options to protect family assets from your alleged irresponsible behavior." Sarah explained that my parents had consulted with 3 different law firms before finding one willing to consider their case. They were building a narrative of my supposed mental decline using the blocked accounts and refused ski trip funding as evidence of erratic decision-making. "This gets worse." She continued reviewing her notes from the phone call. "According to their attorney, your siblings are prepared to provide testimony about your anger issues and financial irresponsibility. They're claiming concern for Emma's safety and your ability to make sound decisions. The betrayal hit deeper than I thought possible. Marcus and Diana were actively participating in a scheme to steal my daughter and control my assets. The tournament abandonment hadn't been mere selfishness. It was deliberate psychological warfare designed to provoke exactly the reaction I had given them. Their ultimate goal appears to be gaining custody of Emma, while establishing conservatorship over your finances," Sarah explained. "They would argue that your mental state makes you unfit for both parenting and financial decision-making, requiring family intervention for everyone's protection. I thought about the unauthorized credit card purchases, the shared account passwords, and the years of financial demands without reciprocity. My family hadn't been carelessly taking advantage. They had been systematically positioning themselves to take everything. Sarah retrieved a thick folder from her filing cabinet. The good news is that their approach has several fatal flaws. First, the police welfare check found no evidence supporting their allegations. Second, your financial records show responsible money management, not reckless spending. Third, Emma's obvious happiness and well-being contradicts claims of endangerment. She recommended immediate action to protect both Emma and my assets. A restraining order would prevent further harassment while we prepared counter-arguments. Documentation of the unauthorized financial activity could support criminal charges against family members who had been stealing from me for years. There's something else you should know. Sarah added, her tone becoming even more serious. My colleague mentioned that your parents have hired a private investigator to document your daily routine and photograph your interactions with Emma. They're building a case file to support their custody petition. The revelation that strangers had been watching our home, following us to school and soccer practice, photographing Emma without consent, triggered a protective fury that made my hands shake. My family had weaponized the legal system, law enforcement, and private investigators in their campaign to steal my daughter and money. How long do we have before they file their petition? Based on their attorney's questions, I estimate 2 to 3 weeks. They're waiting to gather more evidence and finalize their strategy. That gives us time to file protective orders and prepare our defense. Sarah outlined our counterattack strategy. Criminal complaints for identity theft and financial fraud would put my family on the defensive while demonstrating their true character to family court judges. Civil lawsuits for damages would seek restitution for years of unauthorized spending. The private investigator concerns me most, she admitted. If they have photographs suggesting any inappropriate behavior, real or manufactured through editing, those images could be devastating in court. We discussed hiring our own private investigator to document my family's activities and discover what evidence they might be fabricating. The cost would be substantial, but Emma's safety was worth any financial sacrifice. Mr. Walsh, I need you to understand something crucial. Your family isn't going to stop voluntarily. They've invested too much time and money in this scheme to walk away empty-handed. This will get worse before it gets better. The meeting concluded with homework assignments and timeline establishment. I would gather additional financial records, while Sarah prepared restraining order paperwork and criminal complaints. Emma's school would receive security instructions to prevent unauthorized contact with family members. Driving home, I realized my daughter's innocent questions about missing relatives had been more perceptive than I understood. Children often sense dysfunction before adults acknowledge it. Emma had been protecting herself emotionally from people who viewed her as a pawn in their financial games. That evening, as Emma practiced soccer moves in our backyard, I watched through the kitchen window with new awareness. Every interaction we shared was potentially being photographed and analyzed by hostile strangers. Our private moments had been invaded by people determined to destroy our family bond for money. Emma's laughter echoed across the yard as she successfully executed a difficult corner kick. Her joy remained untainted by the adult scheming surrounding her life. She trusted me completely, believing that fathers protect daughters from harm and provide security against threatening forces. I would not let her down. Whatever legal battles lay ahead, whatever evidence my family manufactured, whatever lies they told in courtrooms, Emma would remain safe and loved. The tournament photos on my desk served as daily reminders of their true character and my commitment to her happiness. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Probably another family member attempting contact through borrowed devices. I deleted the message unread, focusing instead on Emma's practice session and the simple pleasure of watching her pursue dreams supported by genuine love. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and legal complexities. Tonight belonged to us, father and daughter, strengthened by truth and protected by boundaries that no amount of money could breach. Thursday afternoon brought private investigator Jake Martinez to my living room, carrying a briefcase filled with evidence that would change everything. A former detective with 20 years of experience in financial fraud cases, Jake possessed the skills and connections necessary to expose my family's criminal activities. Buddy Mr. Walsh, what I'm about to show you goes far beyond family dysfunction. He began spreading documents across my coffee table. Your relatives have been operating a sophisticated identity theft and fraud scheme using your personal information for years. The first revelation involved my father's insurance claims. Using my address and employment information, he had filed fraudulent homeowners insurance claims totaling $15,000 over 18 months. Storm damage that never occurred. Theft of items he still possessed, medical bills for injuries he never sustained. Your father has been claiming you as a dependent on these policies while simultaneously using your credit history to qualify for lower premiums, Jake explained. The insurance companies believe you live with him and share household expenses, which explains the favorable rates he's been receiving. Marcus had taken a different approach, listing me as a business partner in his consulting firm without my knowledge or consent. This fictional partnership allowed him to secure small business loans he had no intention of repaying. The outstanding debt totaled $28,000 with my name attached as a guarantor. When the loans default, which they will soon, the lenders will pursue you for repayment, Jake warned. Your credit score will be destroyed and your assets could be seized to cover his fraudulent debt. Diana's scheme involved opening credit cards in my name, using my social security number and employment verification. She had maxed out 5 different cards over the past year, accumulating $32,000 in debt before abandoning the accounts. Late payment notifications were being sent to her address, keeping me unaware of the mounting financial damage. Your sister has been intercepting your mail to prevent discovery, Jake continued. She rented a post office box using your information and had your credit reports redirected there. You haven't seen the true state of your credit in over a year. The most disturbing discovery involved my mother. She had been submitting fake medical bills to Medicare and private insurance companies, claiming to be my caregiver for non-existent health conditions. The reimbursements totaled $12,000, paid directly to accounts she controlled. Medicare fraud is a federal crime with serious prison time attached, Jake explained. Your mother's scheme could result in decades of incarceration if prosecuted fully. Combined, my family's criminal activities had generated over $90,000 in fraudulent income while exposing me to similar amounts in potential liability. They had systematically destroyed my financial reputation while enriching themselves through identity theft and false claims. There's more, Jake said, retrieving audio equipment from his briefcase. I've been conducting surveillance on your family for the past week. What I recorded will shock you. The first recording captured my parents discussing their legal strategy over dinner at a downtown restaurant. My father's voice was clear as he outlined their timeline for filing custody and conservatorship petitions. The private investigator got great photos of him looking angry while talking on his phone. We can claim he was threatening someone. The police report establishes a pattern of mental instability. Once we get custody of Emma, the trust fund money becomes available for her care, which we'll control as guardians. My mother's response chilled me to the bone. Emma would be better off anyway. Donnie can't even keep a marriage together. A single-father household isn't healthy for a little girl. She needs proper family guidance, not his emotional instability. The second recording featured Marcus and Diana plotting their testimony for the upcoming court hearing. Marcus described elaborate lies about my supposed drinking problem and violent outbursts during family gatherings that never occurred. Remember, we need to sound concerned, not angry, Diana coached. We're worried about our brother and his daughter not trying to steal anything. The money is just coincidental. The final audio clip revealed their true motivation. My father speaking to someone unidentified about the inheritance from my grandmother's trust that would become accessible when I turned 35 in 6 months. $2.4 million just sitting there while he wastes money on soccer tournaments and refuses to help family. That money should be ours anyway. We raised him, we deserve compensation for our investment. Jake powered off the recording equipment as I processed the magnitude of their betrayal. The tournament abandonment, the financial demands, the false police report, everything had been calculated, steps towards stealing my inheritance and gaining control of Emma. The good news is that we now have criminal evidence against all of them, Jake concluded. Wire fraud, mail fraud, identity theft, Medicare fraud, conspiracy to commit kidnapping. Your family is looking at serious federal prison time. Attorney Sarah arrived an hour later to review Jake's findings and coordinate our legal response. The evidence was overwhelming, providing multiple avenues for criminal prosecution while simultaneously destroying their custody case foundation. With this level of criminal activity, no family court judge will award them custody or visitation rights, Sarah explained. We'll file criminal complaints with the FBI Financial Crimes Unit immediately. Federal agents will execute arrest warrants within days. The plan crystallized quickly. Criminal charges would be filed simultaneously against all family members, preventing them from coordinating their defense or destroying evidence. Restraining orders would protect Emma and me from further harassment, while civil lawsuits sought full restitution for financial damages. Your inheritance will be protected through emergency court orders, Sarah added. Once your family's criminal intent becomes public record, no judge will allow them near that money. Jake recommended additional security measures for our home and Emma's school. Professional security cameras would monitor our property, while GPS tracking on my vehicle would provide evidence if family members attempted surveillance or contact. They're going to panic when the FBI comes knocking, Jake warned. Desperate people make dangerous decisions. Your family has already shown they're willing to manipulate law enforcement and violate boundaries. Physical safety becomes a concern when millions of dollars are at stake. That evening, as Emma completed her homework at the kitchen table, I marveled at her resilience and innocence. She remained unaware of the criminal conspiracy swirling around her life, focused instead on math problems and spelling words. Her trust in me felt sacred, and absolute a responsibility I would protect regardless of cost. The tournament photos had taken on new meaning as evidence of my family's premeditated cruelty. Their absence wasn't accidental or thoughtless. It was strategic psychological warfare designed to provoke the exact reaction they needed for their custody case. Emma looked up from her worksheet, brown eyes sparkling with excitement. Daddy Sarah's mom called and invited us to her birthday party this weekend. Can we go? She's going to have a bounce house. Absolutely, sweetheart. We'll pick out a special present for Sarah tomorrow. Her enthusiasm for simple pleasures contrasted sharply with my family's complex criminal schemes. Emma found joy in friendship and celebration, while they found purpose in manipulation and theft. The difference revealed everything about character and values. My phone remained silent, blocked numbers, unable to deliver threats or demands. Soon, FBI agents would be delivering their own messages in the form of arrest warrants and criminal charges. The silence felt like gathering storm clouds, heavy with the promise of justice finally arriving. Tomorrow would bring new developments as law enforcement became involved in our family conflict. Tonight, I helped Emma with spelling words and reading comprehension, ordinary moments made precious by their simplicity and genuine love. The counterattack had begun. My family had taught me painful lessons about loyalty and trust, but they had also revealed their own weaknesses and criminal vulnerabilities. Their greed had made them sloppy. Their arrogance had made them careless. Emma's inheritance would be protected. Her custody would remain secure, and her future would be built on truth rather than manipulation. The empty bleachers at her tournament had actually been a blessing, revealing my family's true nature before they could cause irreparable damage. Justice was coming, carried by federal agents and backed by overwhelming evidence. My daughter would grow up understanding that actions have consequences, that truth ultimately prevails, and that real family shows up when it matters most. The raids happened simultaneously at 6 a.m. on a crisp Tuesday morning in November. FBI agents executed search warrants at my father's house, Marcus's apartment, and Diana's townhouse, while Emma ate breakfast and prepared for school. She remained blissfully unaware that her extended family was being arrested for federal crimes while she practiced spelling words. Agent Rebecca Chen called me at 8:15 to provide updates on the arrests. My father had been taken into custody without incident, found destroying documents in his home office when agents arrived. Marcus attempted to flee through his back door but was apprehended in the alley behind his building. Diana cooperated fully, already calling her attorney before handcuffs were applied. Your mother has agreed to full cooperation in exchange for immunity, Agent Chen explained. She's providing detailed testimony about the entire conspiracy. The evidence she's sharing goes back 5 years, much longer than we initially suspected. My mother's confession revealed the true scope of their criminal enterprise. The soccer tournament abandonment had been planned months in advance, designed to create the emotional breakdown they needed for their custody case. Every family gathering I had funded, every financial request I had fulfilled, had been calculated steps toward gaining control of my inheritance. They've been researching conservatorship laws and grandparents' rights since your grandmother's trust was established, Agent Chen continued. Your father consulted with 3 different attorneys before finding one willing to pursue the case. The financial fraud was meant to destroy your credit rating while enriching them, making you appear unstable and irresponsible. The investigation uncovered additional crimes I hadn't discovered. Marcus had been filing false tax returns, claiming me as a business partner, collecting refunds for expenses that never existed. Diana had opened a small business loan using my social security number, defaulting immediately and damaging my credit history. My father had been claiming me as a dependent on his insurance policies, while charging my credit cards for his medical expenses. Yet the total financial damage exceeds $120,000, Agent Chen explained. Your family has been systematically stealing from you, while positioning themselves to steal much more through legal guardianship. Arraignment hearings revealed the depth of their betrayal as they turned against each other in desperate attempts to minimize their own sentences. Marcus testified that my father had threatened him with financial ruin if he refused to participate in the scheme. Diana claimed she was merely following orders from parents who controlled her access to family resources. My father's attorney attempted an incompetence defense, claiming early-stage dementia affected his decision-making abilities. Medical examinations ordered by the court found no evidence of cognitive decline. The neurologist's report concluded that my father possessed full mental capacity and understood the criminal nature of his actions. Your father was the mastermind. Prosecutor David Hamilton explained during our victim impact statement preparation. The evidence shows sophisticated planning, careful execution, and deliberate attempts to cover up criminal activity. This wasn't impulsive behavior or family dysfunction. This was organized financial crime with conspiracy to commit kidnapping. The courtroom drama provided closure I hadn't expected. Watching my family members in orange jumpsuits pleading for mercy while blaming each other felt surreal after years of their financial manipulation and emotional abuse. The judge's reaction to their crimes validated my decision to fight back rather than continue enabling their behavior. Judge Patricia Morrison called it the most calculated family financial abuse case she had encountered in 20 years on the bench. Her sentencing reflected the severity of their crimes and the premeditated nature of their conspiracy. My father received 5 years in federal prison for wire fraud, mail fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy charges. Marcus was sentenced to 18 months for his role in the business loan fraud and false tax returns. Diana received 12 months for credit card fraud and identity theft, with 3 years probation following her incarceration. The civil judgments required full restitution plus punitive damages totaling $300,000. Their combined assets were seized to satisfy the court orders, including my father's house, Marcus's car collection, and Diana's investment portfolio. Emma asked why she couldn't visit Grandpa anymore during the week following his sentencing. I explained that some people make bad choices that have serious consequences and Grandpa needed time to think about his mistakes. Her innocent acceptance of this simplified explanation reminded me why protecting her from toxic influences was so important. The transformation in our daily lives was remarkable. Without the constant financial demands and emotional manipulation from my family, Emma and I developed routines based on mutual respect and genuine affection. Soccer practice became pure enjoyment rather than performance anxiety about disappointing absent relatives. Coach Jennifer, a single mother dealing with her own family challenges, became a supportive friend who understood the complexities of raising children without extended family assistance. Our conversations over coffee, while kids practiced, revealed her own struggles with manipulative relatives who treated her success as their personal financial opportunity. It's amazing how much peace you can find when you stop trying to buy love from people who see you as an ATM machine, she observed one afternoon. Your daughter is lucky to have a father who recognizes the difference between family obligation and family manipulation. Emma's happiness increased dramatically without the stress of disappointing relatives who never invested in her success. Her grades improved, her soccer skills advanced, and her confidence grew as she realized that love doesn't require perfect performance or financial transactions. The inheritance protection orders ensured that my grandmother's trust would remain secure for Emma's future education and opportunities. My family's criminal convictions disqualified them from any claim to those resources, protecting them for their intended purpose. New relationships emerged naturally as Emma and I engaged with people who shared our values and interests. The soccer team families became a chosen family that celebrated achievements and provided support during challenges. Their presence at games and tournaments filled the empty bleachers with genuine enthusiasm and care. My mother's attempts at reconciliation through guilt-inducing letters were returned unopened. Her immunity agreement required full cooperation with prosecutors, revealing every detail of the conspiracy against Emma and me. The betrayal was too complete, the manipulation too calculating for forgiveness to be possible or wise. Extended family members who claimed ignorance of the criminal conspiracy were blocked from contact when their messages revealed similar expectations of financial support without emotional investment. The pattern of entitled manipulation extended beyond my immediate family to cousins, aunts, and uncles who viewed my success as their personal opportunity. Emma's new friend Sarah invited us to Thanksgiving dinner with her extended family, people who barely knew us, but welcomed our presence with genuine warmth. The contrast with my blood relatives was striking. These strangers showed more care and consideration in one afternoon than my family had demonstrated in years. Sarah's grandmother asked about my soccer team and remembered all their names, Emma marveled during our drive home. She wants to come watch our next game. Isn't that cool, Daddy? The simplicity of authentic interest and genuine support highlighted everything my family had failed to provide. Emma deserved relatives who invested in her happiness rather than extracting resources from her father. Sarah's family demonstrated what healthy relationships looked like based on mutual respect rather than financial obligation. Justice had been served through criminal convictions and civil restitution, but the real victory was Emma's flourishing happiness in an environment free from manipulation and conditional love. The tournament photos still sat on my desk, no longer reminders of betrayal but symbols of our liberation from people who confused money with affection. The legal battles were ending, but our new life was just beginning, built on foundations of truth, respect, and genuine care rather than obligation and financial exploitation. 1 year later, I stood in packed bleachers watching Emma's soccer team win the regional championship on a brilliant October afternoon. The same tournament facility in Phoenix, where our nightmare had begun, now hosted our celebration of triumph and healing. But this time the stands overflowed with people who chose to be there, who invested in Emma's dreams, who understood that love requires presence. Coach Jennifer sat beside me, her daughter Katie playing midfielder, while Emma dominated as team captain. The past 8 months of our relationship had evolved naturally from friendship to romance, built on shared values and mutual respect rather than convenience or desperation. Her own experiences with manipulative family members created understanding and empathy that felt healing rather than traumatic. "Look at her leadership out there," Jennifer whispered as Emma directed her teammates through a complex play. "She's become so confident since the custody battle ended." The other soccer parents had become our chosen family through countless practices, team dinners, and weekend tournaments. Mike Rodriguez, a divorced electrician raising twin daughters, had become my closest friend through our shared experiences of single fatherhood. Sarah's parents, Tom and Linda Chen, treated Emma like their third granddaughter, attending every game with homemade signs and endless enthusiasm. Emma scored the winning goal in the 78th minute, a perfectly executed corner kick that found the upper corner of the net. The crowd erupted as she raised both arms in victory, her smile visible from across the field. This moment belonged to her, completely unmarked by absent relatives or disappointed expectations. After the medal ceremony, Emma rushed to the bleachers carrying her championship trophy and gold medal. "Daddy, did you see that goal? Coach Jennifer said it was the best corner kick she's ever seen from someone my age." I swept her into a massive hug, feeling the solid weight of her happiness and accomplishment. "I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. That was incredible." Jennifer's parents had driven from Colorado Springs to watch the championship game, treating Emma's victory as if she were their own granddaughter. Her father, a retired teacher, had been recording her games all season to create a highlight reel for her 9th birthday next month. "Emma, you played like a professional out there," he said, presenting her with a bouquet of sunflowers. "Your ball control and field vision are exceptional for someone your age." The celebration dinner at a local steakhouse included 12 adults and 8 children, all united in genuine affection for Emma, an investment in her success. The conversation flowed with laughter and shared stories, creating memories built on authentic relationships rather than obligatory attendance. During dessert, Emma's teammate Sarah presented her with a friendship bracelet made by the entire team. Each player had contributed a bead representing their position and personality, creating a colorful reminder of their bond and shared accomplishments. "We want you to wear this during the state tournament," Sarah explained, "so you remember that we're all connected even when we're not together." The drive home to Denver provided time for reflection on our transformed lives. Emma chattered excitedly about the game, her teammates, and plans for celebrating with her school friends on Monday. Her world had expanded to include people who valued her for herself, rather than viewing her as leverage for financial manipulation. "Daddy, can we invite my whole team to my birthday party? And Coach Jennifer's family and Sarah's grandparents? I want everyone who came to my games this year." "Absolutely, sweetheart. We'll plan the best birthday celebration ever." Our modest ranch house felt like a palace when we arrived home that evening. The financial freedom created by removing family parasites had allowed improvements and upgrades that enhanced our daily comfort. Emma's room now featured custom soccer murals and built-in shelves for her growing trophy collection. The mail included a letter addressed to Emma from an unfamiliar sender. Inside, I found a birthday card containing a $500 check and a lengthy apology letter from my parents. The message claimed they had learned their lesson and wanted to rebuild their relationship with their granddaughter. Emma looked at the card with genuine confusion. "Who are Robert and Margaret Walsh? Do I know them?" The realization hit like lightning. Emma had completely forgotten my parents' names. She was only 7 during our family crisis, and children's memories fade quickly when people disappear from their daily lives. In her mind, these were strangers trying to contact her with promises and money. "They're people who used to be in our lives, but they made some bad choices. You don't need to worry about them." I returned the card unopened with a note written in red ink. "Family earns love through presence, not presence. This decision is permanent." A letter from my father arrived the following week, mailed from federal prison, and filled with manipulation disguised as religious conversion. He claimed to have found God behind bars and deserved forgiveness for what he characterized as family misunderstandings, rather than criminal conspiracy. The letter went directly into the fireplace without complete reading. Emma watched the flames consume his words while asking if we could make s'mores with the fire. Her innocent suggestion perfectly captured our new priorities, creating joy rather than processing toxicity. My mother's attorney contacted Sarah's office about reconciliation possibilities and potential settlement agreements that would restore family relationships in exchange for reduced restitution payments. Sarah's response was brief and definitive: no contact ever. This decision is permanent. Emma's 9th birthday party filled our backyard with 20 children and 15 adults, all celebrating her actual presence and joy, rather than maintaining social obligations. The bounce house face painting station and soccer skills contest created an atmosphere of pure happiness that lasted until sunset. Jennifer's parents presented Emma with a savings account they had opened in her name, seeded with $500 for her college fund. Every successful young woman needs her own financial independence, her grandmother explained. This money belongs to you alone. The gesture highlighted everything my blood relatives had failed to understand. Real family invests in children's futures rather than extracting from their parents' resources. Jennifer's family barely knew Emma, yet they were building her financial security, without expectation of return or control. Coach Jennifer announced during cake cutting that Emma had been selected for the state's elite travel team, an honor that required additional training and tournament travel. The entire party erupted in cheers and congratulations, genuine enthusiasm from people who understood the significance of her achievement. This means playing against the best players in Colorado and neighboring states, Jennifer explained. Emma has the talent to earn college scholarships if she continues developing her skills. The travel team opportunity represented validation of Emma's natural abilities and dedicated training. More importantly, it surrounded her with coaches and teammates who invested in her potential, rather than viewing her success as a source of personal benefit. That evening, as Emma organized her birthday gifts and tournament trophies, I reflected on our journey from family manipulation to authentic relationships. The empty bleachers at her first tournament had felt devastating, but they had actually revealed my family's true character before they could cause irreparable damage. Emma fell asleep clutching her championship medal and new friendship bracelet symbols of achievement earned through effort and relationships built on mutual respect. Her room overflowed with gifts from people who barely knew her a year ago, but had chosen to invest in her happiness without expectation of return. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number, probably another family member attempting contact through borrowed devices. I deleted the message unread, focusing instead on Emma's peaceful, sleeping face and the photos from her championship game covering her nightstand. Real family shows up when it matters. They celebrate victories, support dreams, and demonstrate love through presence rather than financial transactions. Blood relations who only take while giving nothing in return aren't family at all. They're parasites disguised as relatives. Emma's new chosen family understood that children need adults who invest in their futures, who attend their games, who remember their friends' names and favorite colors. Jennifer's parents had known Emma for 6 months, but showed more genuine interest in her well-being than my blood relatives had demonstrated in 7 years. The legal battles were over, the criminals were imprisoned, and our financial security was protected. But the real victory was Emma's flourishing happiness, surrounded by people who loved her for herself, rather than viewing her as leverage for financial manipulation. Her birthday party photos joined the tournament pictures on my desk, evidence of our transformation from isolated victims to valued members of a community that chose us. Emma's smile radiated pure joy, unmarked by the disappointment and confusion that had clouded her face in those empty bleachers just 1 year earlier. The inheritance from my grandmother's trust remained secure for Emma's education and future opportunities, protected by court orders that prevented my family from accessing those resources. The money would serve its intended purpose, empowering Emma's choices rather than funding other people's luxuries. As I prepared for bed, I realized that cutting toxic people from our lives had created space for healthy relationships to flourish. Emma's world now included adults who showed up, who celebrated her achievements, who invested in her dreams without expecting anything in return. She deserved relatives who understood that love requires present support and genuine investment in her happiness. Sarah's family, Jennifer's parents, and the soccer team community had become Emma's real family, chosen through mutual affection rather than genetic accident. The tournament photos would remain on my desk as reminders of our liberation from people who confused money with love. Emma's future stretched ahead, bright with possibilities, and surrounded by people who understood that children are blessings to cherish, not resources to exploit. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is remove toxic people from your life, creating space for relationships built on truth, respect, and genuine care. Emma's new family had chosen us through shared values and authentic connection, proving that blood relations matter far less than mutual investment in each other's well-being. Our story ended where it began, in tournament bleachers filled with supporters who understood that showing up is love in action, but this time the stands overflowed with people who chose to be there, who celebrated Emma's victories, who proved that real family is about presence, not genetics. The empty bleachers had been a blessing in disguise, revealing my family's true nature before they could destroy Emma's trust in genuine relationships. Now she understands what real love looks like: consistent, supportive, and freely given rather than purchased through financial transactions. What's the most important lesson you've learned about the difference between toxic relatives and chosen family? Have you ever had to make the difficult decision to cut ties with people who claimed to love you but only showed up when they needed something? Share your thoughts below about how you protect the children in your life from family members who see them as opportunities rather than blessings. Your story might help someone else find the courage to choose authentic relationships over obligatory ones. Thank you for following Emma's journey from disappointment to triumph, from empty bleachers to championship celebrations. I hope our experience reminds you that real family shows up when it matters, invests in your dreams, and loves you for who you are, rather than what you can provide. Remember to like this video if it resonated with you, subscribe for more stories about overcoming family manipulation, and share it with anyone who might need to hear that they deserve relationships built on mutual respect and genuine care. Until next time, protect your peace, invest in people who invest in you, and never forget that sometimes the family you choose loves you better than the family you're born into.